Sports and NFTs, a match made in heaven. And right now, there is one platform that will allow you to make the most of your love for both. I am, of course, talking about Sorare, the next generation NFT trading card game that looks poised to dominate the niche. A niche that could be about to explode at the FIFA World Cup. So in this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about Sorare and how you can make the most of it over the course of one of the biggest sports tournaments on Earth. Don't go anywhere. Firstly, I need to state that this video is not sponsored. It's just me giving you my thoughts on the platform. I will also say that none of this is financial advice, and you should most definitely speak to your advisor before investing in NFTs, trading cards, or anything for that matter. Also, be aware that whenever I mention the word football, I'm talking about the game where players kick a ball with their feet, as opposed to that hot mess of a game enormous Americans play in full body armor. And no, I'm not saying the word soccer either, because where I'm from, that is worse than swearing. Sorry. So, with all that out of the way, let's start off with a bit of an overview on fantasy sports and NFTs. If you're already fully clued up on all of that, then feel free to jump ahead using those timestamps down below. Okay, quite simply, fantasy sports involves putting together a virtual or fantasy team that is composed of real-world players. This team will then earn points in the fantasy game based on how well the real-world players perform in real life. The better their real-world stats, the better your fantasy team does. Usually, you play against other managers in a similar position to you with their own fantasy teams. Now, fantasy sports has exploded in popularity, particularly with the internet and online gaming, though pre-internet versions existed in the past. Modern fantasy sports allow armchair enthusiasts to battle it out in a virtual game that's impacted by real-world variables. So, best of both worlds, you might say. And, fun fact, one of the best fantasy football players around is none other than chess grandmaster Magnus Carlsen. His Twitter bio reads, quote, "The highest-ranked chess player in the world, former live #1 fantasy Premier League player." Talk about multi-talented. Anyway, fantasy sports is now big business. In 2021, the market cap was valued at $21 billion, and it's growing at an annual rate of 13%. So, that is fantasy sports. Very popular and very lucrative. So, how to take it to the next level? Well, a fantasy sports league that harnesses NFTs is the answer. That's real immutable ownership right there. Now, for those unfamiliar, an NFT or non-fungible token is a digital asset which is a unique representation of an item on the blockchain. This is in contrast to cryptocurrencies like Ethereum, Bitcoin, etc., where each unit of currency should be equivalent to any other. NFTs are ideal for trading cards in a fantasy sports game because generally these cards are unique. There is only one player like that in a league or sport, and hence you're going to want a unique representation of that fact. It's also better than in traditional fantasy sports because it means that you don't have to keep your NFTs in their own walled tech garden. You can withdraw the NFT to your own wallet and sell it on to whoever you want. Essentially, the NFT trading card is analogous to an NFT JPEG, except it has a lot more utility, something that I'll touch on later. So, that's a rough overview of NFTs. If you want a deeper dive, then I encourage you to check out my longer form video on them, which will be linked to in the description for you. All of which brings us on to Sorare, a fantasy sports NFT marketplace which allows users to compete against each other and trade the NFTs they use to do so. While it originally started with fantasy football, Sorare has more recently branched out into baseball and NBA trading cards and has the official licensing rights from the relevant sports bodies to issue these NFTs. Now, Sorare was founded by two entrepreneurs called Nicolas Julia and Adrien Montfort way back in 2018. That's decades ago in crypto. Nicolas is now Sorare's CEO, while Adrien serves as CTO. Sorare launched on the Ethereum blockchain and has grown considerably over the past 4 years. There are currently 140 employees split between offices in Paris and New York. The company has also been on quite a blitz when it comes to fundraising. $550K, $10 million and $40 million in their pre-seed, seed and Series A rounds respectively. However, in their most recent Series B round, they raised $680 million. This was Europe's biggest seed round ever and included the likes of SoftBank's Vision Fund. The valuation was at $4.3 billion, which is crazy for a company that's only a few years old. That said, I will admit that this was probably a bull market valuation at a time when NFT frenzy was at its peak. Nevertheless, the platform has had a lot of success when it comes to onboarding users. According to this recent Bankless interview with Nicolas, they have 2 million registered users with over 1 million monthly active users. That is pretty incredible at a time when NFT interest is in the doldrums. However, since launching Sorare NBA about a month ago, interest in the platform has skyrocketed. For example, if we were to take a look at NFT collections by sales volume over the past 30 days, Sorare comes in second after the Bored Ape Yacht Club. And I think it's totally reasonable to assume that once the World Cup kicks off, Sorare's volume could outpace that of the apes. And here's another fun fact for you. According to FIFA, in 2018, 3.5 billion people watched at least some of the World Cup. By some estimates, the 2022 World Cup could have nearly 5 billion viewers. So, a platform with tradable assets linked to the world's most popular sport at said sport's showcase event, that is rocket fuel for Sorare's demand. And for all those crypto natives out there, you may be asking yourself how on earth Sorare will be able to scale to this demand, and the answer is Ethereum Layer 2s, more specifically Starkware. Okay, now as exciting as all this sounds, there won't be any long-term demand for the platform if it isn't engaging, or if the NFTs don't have actual utility. And that brings me on to my next topic. And for the sake of time, I'm going to focus on football NFTs because, well, 'tis the season and all. So, let's dive in. As is the case with fantasy sports, Sorare lets you build up your virtual team that you can effectively enter into competitions, but using NFT trading cards. These competitions are held every week, and you're competing with other football managers from around the world. Your football lineup consists of cards that represent the actual players from over 300 different teams. For each player, there are different card tiers which have different supply amounts and hence rarity. For example, you have the grey common cards which are unlimited. Then you have the yellow cards, of which there are only 1,000. 100 rare red cards, 10 super rare blue cards, and 1 unique black card. I should also note that these cards are issued for each season that the player is active. So, for example, if Lionel Messi over here plays for 12 seasons, then you will have 12,000 limiteds, 1,200 rares, 120 blues, etc. that will accumulate over his playing career. Holding all else equal, the rarer the card, the more valuable it should be. But the real benefit of these cards is not just the rarity, but the utility. Different card tiers can be used in different divisions based on their scarcity. There are also a load of real-world benefits tied to these cards, and the rarer or scarcer the cards, the better the benefits. Anyways, I think that the best way to get a sense of how Sorare works is to actually look at building a team. So, let's get started. Firstly, you're going to want to sign up, and you can do that using my link below. Now, we will also get a percentage of the primary sales fee that Sorare charges, so it's a win-win, and it does help the channel. Got to keep those lights on after all. However, you can also just head over to sorare.com and create one directly if you want. I won't hold it against you. You can create an account using an email and password. Point of note though, although Sorare NFTs are tradable, it doesn't fully require a crypto wallet to start playing the game, as we will see shortly. So once you've gone through the sign-up process, you'll be able to select the game that you would like to play. Because we're focused on football for the World Cup, and because I know even less about other sports than I do about football, we're going to select that. Moreover, Sorare is currently running the Sorare Global Cup around the World Cup, and that is the tournament that we would like to partake in. Thanks very much. It'll then take you through a few setup procedures to build your squad. Now, as you will see, these are all common cards. That means they are unlimited and you can build your team for free. It also means that you can partake in the game for free without any monetary commitments. A nice touch. So, you're given a budget of 100 points to spend on building your team of 8 players, and there are 3 ways to do this. One is that you can just choose the default autofill, and this will allocate you a team based on a random selection that matches out your budget. Perfect if, like me, you don't really know what you're talking about when it comes to football. The other is that you can do the due diligence on the players that you want on the team for the tournament. Or, third, you can use a combination of the two. When it comes to player selection, now this is indeed quite a science. If only we had Magnus Carlsen on hand to help, eh? You'll need to choose players based on how likely they are to perform in their games during the World Cup. If you're going to actually be buying lifetime NFTs to partake in these tournaments, then the due diligence is going to have to be a lot more rigid. You'll need to factor in things such as longevity of the player, likelihood of injury, number of seasons they'll play, etc., etc. So, probably avoid buying some crocked old journeyman with only a few games left in the tank. Not financial or footballing advice. Anyways, we now need to go through the players and pick some. In the interest of time and not to betray my ignorance too much, I'm going to use a combination of hand-picked and auto-filled. So, for my 2 forwards, I'm going to go with Messi, aka the GOAT, and Karim Benzema, UEFA's Player of the Year. Then, after I've auto-filled the rest, this is what I end up with. I've maxed out my points to assemble the team which has, admittedly, a rather solid forward line. Now, once I've done that, I can confirm my draft and move forward to choosing my lineup. Remember, the Sorare Global Cup competition is 5-a-side for each competition, so you'll need to choose the first lineup based on the team you have. Once that's done, you'll have to select your captain, and I am going to give Messi that incredible honour. You're welcome, Leo. Now, you'll see that this gives him a captain bonus of 20%. Once that's all done, you can click Confirm and your team is officially in. You can then decide whether you would like to create a league. This will allow you to either create your own private one or join one that is already running. I'm going to skip past this right now as the global tournaments are the most exciting. The Global Cup is the one we should be interested in as this is tied to the World Cup. Clicking through gets you a bit more information on the Global Cup as well as what's up for grabs and the key matches to watch for your players. The prize pool is pretty decent given that it costs nothing to play and could add to the enjoyment of watching the tournament itself. Actually, friends of mine who play fantasy football regularly have said that it does add an extra dimension to watching the football of a weekend. Now, of course, as I mentioned earlier, the Global Cup is a common league composed of infinite common cards. If you want to partake in some of the rarer competitions, then you'll need different card tiers. If you select all scarcities as well as unlocked competition, you can get the full range of all the tournaments. Those that comprise rare, limited, super rare, and unique. As I mentioned before, given that the locked tournaments are more exclusive, they will require those rarer cards to access. Okay, so that is a bit of a rough overview of how the tournament will work heading into the World Cup. What I really want to look at right now is the marketplace. This is where those rarer NFTs are bought and traded. As you can see, these are the rare limited cards that you can bid on. Here we have some red rares, remember 100 per player, and the yellow limiteds, 1000 per player. When you click on the card itself, you get all the information on not only the card, but the player and the NFT's history. For example, you can see his score history over the past 5 games, as well as the season, card bonus, serial number, etc. You can also see the token ID link over here on Etherscan. Quick point of information: if you see 23 under the card, this means that the player is younger than 23 years old and hence is eligible for the under-23 tournaments. Now, if we go back to the main page, you can see that you can also buy bundles of cards, or those that are the, quote, best deals. Don't exactly know what the metrics are there, but I assume they're based on player statistics and other stuff that, well, Magnus Carlsen probably knows all about. These are only some of the NFTs on offer, of course. You can click on View All New Cards and it will bring up all of those on offer. This is pretty neat as it allows you to filter by numerous different attributes. For those of you who have ever bought NFTs on OpenSea, this is similar, although way more advanced. That's because these NFT cards have way more features than a simple JPEG NFT. I'm not going to take you through all of them as they are quite extensive, but you get the point. If you wanted to bid on these cards, then there are 2 ways in which you can do it. Either you can link up a credit card via Stripe, or you can pay with your crypto wallet. You would need to connect to the Sorare smart contract for that. You can also fund your account with either fiat or crypto over here in the top right. Those are the crypto wallets that they support, although you can also just send fiat using either card or bank transfers. I won't go through the process of buying an NFT right now, as it should be quite self-explanatory. Just remember that if you are going to be connecting your crypto Web3 wallet at all, be extra certain that you are indeed on the official Sorare website and are not connected to some dodgy phishing site. You have been warned. Of course, if you would prefer to buy these NFTs on a platform that you're more comfortable with, OpenSea, for example, then that's always an option. Sorare cards are listed on OpenSea, and once you've bought the cards, you can transfer them into your Sorare account to compete. I've left links to my complete OpenSea tutorial below, should you want a guide. But this all brings on the broader question of whether you should even consider buying an NFT on Sorare. I mean, if they're giving away common free cards, is it even needed? Well, that really depends on what you want to do. You don't need to pay to play the game, which means that you can just as easily use the common cards without the risks of a monetary commitment. However, it's worth noting that these aren't transferable outside of Sorare. You also can't sell them, and they have no intrinsic value apart from their use in this tournament. With the other NFTs, however, they don't only have the utility of being able to play in the locked tournaments, but they also grow in value the better the player becomes. Much like traditional baseball cards, they can be considered an investment if you choose the right player and the right tier of card. Now, I say investment because it is very risky, and I would definitely not be putting large sums of money into any NFT. I'm also not a financial advisor, in case you didn't already know. But the point is, unlike those profile picture NFTs, you're not only relying on the rarity aspect of the item. You can essentially buy an NFT based on how likely you think a certain player is to perform over his playing career. You can also then use this NFT to further generate gains through a winning combination in the fantasy teams. Apart from that, these NFTs are permanently owned by you. They can be transferred out of Sorare and sold on external marketplaces as well. Therefore, should something ever happen to Sorare, you still own that NFT trading card. This is much more than can be said for traditional online fantasy sports. Okay, now it's time for a few of my closing thoughts on Sorare. To start off, I will say that I'm pretty impressed with what they've achieved. The NFT space is in the toilet right now, and the fact that they've managed to attract so many users is testament to the platform that they've built. Then again, basketball, baseball, and especially football are incredibly popular sports. The fantasy sports market is massive, and that means that Sorare has tapped a market most other NFT projects could only dream of. I also like the hybrid approach that they've taken to their platform. Yes, you can buy and trade the limited edition NFTs, but these are not needed to partake in the fun. There's nothing stopping you from creating a free account and enjoying the game during this World Cup, something I, with my very, very basic knowledge of football, will definitely be doing. However, when it comes to the NFTs, there are plenty of use cases that other NFT providers and issuers seem to miss. The utility has to come first before the NFT. The game has to have traction, irrespective of whether NFTs are included or not. This is one of the few ways in which users who would otherwise not have been interested in NFTs can find themselves using them. Now, of course, like any new product or service, there are downsides. Firstly, some of the reviews posted on online review sites are less than flattering. It's hard to independently verify these, however, it would be good if the Sorare team could at least address some of them. Secondly, one has to wonder how the value of the NFTs will be impacted should Sorare ever lose the licenses to use them. If one of the licenses were pulled, then it would mean that the utility attached to said card would be eliminated. You would then have to rely solely on the scarcity component. This would make it not too dissimilar to the other JPEG NFT projects. Thirdly, something that may turn off non-Web3 users is the fact that they are unable to withdraw funds in traditional fiat. They are effectively forced to withdraw in crypto. Now, us crypto natives don't have an issue with that, but for a user who merely wants their funds back in their bank account, it could be a bit of a turn-off. Crypto has been put through the ringer over the past few weeks, and there are many people who would like to play the game without having to worry about withdrawing through non-traditional means. That aside, Sorare is very much what you make of it. It's a great platform to have some additional fun with during this World Cup and beyond if the other sports on offer are up your street as well. To flex your football manager skills competing with over 170,000 other managers, maybe including Magnus Carlsen himself, eh? However, don't expect it to make you a fantasy sports millionaire. The biggest reward is in the play itself. And that is it for my rundown of Sorare. Now, have any of you guys used it? I would love to get your feedback. And was this a fair review? I'd love to know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, then please help a brother out by smashing that like button. Subscribe to make sure you're in line to receive my latest crypto vibes, and ping the bell as well for good measure. Thanks so much for watching and enjoy the football, especially if you're an England fan.